Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the factory floor. I'm joined today by, guess who? Same two people every time. We will never have a guest on this podcast. Mark my word. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. We haven't really talked about it.
A guest on the podcast.
Probably not. This is just an excuse for us to talk, if we're being honest. No. I'm joined by Corey Haynes and Zach Stevens, and today we have a fun topic to go over. We're calling this the low-hanging fruit-a-thon, and the reason for that is because a lot of the companies we work with, when they come in the door, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, things to take care of and clean up to give them a big lift in their marketing. And we see this with tons of other people. Like, we're just visiting different company websites and looking at how their marketing is set up. And there's always low-hanging fruit that comes up again and again. And it's often the same things with a lot of these companies. So I think it's our goal today to call out a bunch of those low-hanging fruit, so that way anyone who's listening, maybe you can go and check and see if any of these apply to you. But I figure I don't like to bury the lead, so I want to start with like the lowest possible hanging fruit and see what your guys' general takes are, and we'll kind of let Corey do the marketing side and Zach do the design side, and I'll talk a little bit about web dev stuff. But guys, what are the lowest of low hanging fruit that companies can actually go and tackle when it comes to their marketing and design? Corey, you want to kick us off? Cool.
Something I see really, really often that's incredibly easy is to create an email that gets triggered and automatically sent out, not just when someone signs up for a demo or a free trial or an account or your newsletter, but that sends them an email when they fail to do the most important thing they need in order to get value out of the action that they just took. So they started a free trial, send them an email to install that analytics script, to set up their first widget, to go through the onboarding flow, to send some instructions to a developer, to invite a teammate, whatever it is. There's usually one thing that's the most important action that someone needs to take in order to start getting value out of your product. And if you don't have an automated email that gets sent out to them, then your conversion rates are going to suffer. And it's literally one email. That's all it takes, just as a reminder. For example, when I was working with SavvyCal, the most important thing was to connect your calendar. And you'd be amazed at how many people signed up and then didn't connect their calendar. And you'd be amazed at how many people signed up, didn't connect their calendar, looked at our email, clicked the link to connect their calendar, and then did and ended up paying money. It was crazy.
It's that simple. Yeah. How many, is this something that you think is like a pervasive, like it happens all the time? It's everywhere? Or is this like, just like if you happen to not do it, just be sure to do that? Or is that something you've actually genuinely seen like multiple times?
Follow-up question. Why do they not do it if it is so simple?
They don't do it usually because they don't think that their users are inept enough to need something like that. They're like, someone signs up for my product. Obviously, they're going to take the time to go through all the onboarding steps and do the things that I designed my software to encourage them to do. And they just don't. People just go way off the rails immediately. It's very frustrating, especially as a software engineer, where you think very logically and you know your product better than anyone else. And you just kind of assume that everyone else is going to come in with the same kind of context and understanding that you do. And even simple little things can derail people. And so you need kind of some guardrails or a net to catch the people that fall off and then get them back on track. But it's pretty pervasive. Like I would say 9 out of 10 startups don't have anything like this in place.
I feel like we've heard from people too that like founders and marketing people are somewhat afraid of sending emails, like the email bloat and like, I don't want to send them that many. Like I already have like a weekly newsletter, or I already have like this product update that goes out once a month or whatever. can you just quell the fears a little bit for people sending emails? Like, is there a limit? How many emails is too many? And explain to them why this email is more important than maybe some other emails that they're afraid of sending.
Yeah, there's basically no limit to the amount of emails you can send to somebody, because the worst thing that can happen is that they hit, unsubscribe and mark as spam. That doesn't happen as often as people think. And even then, a lot of the ISPs, the services that kind of monitor for spam, will look to see at your sending behavior and the contents to see if it was actually even worthy of spam in the first place.
Yeah.
And so if you're not sending anything spammy, even if someone marks it as spam, that doesn't necessarily hurt you. But we see this in the B2C world all the time, where you sign up for a newsletter list in order to get a 10% discount on your first order for some product you're interested in. And you might get 10 emails the first week. You might get multiple emails per day. And people generally don't really have a problem with that because you can just ignore it. And so in software, we've kind of overcorrected, and we're like, I can only send a maximum of 1 email per quarter. And you're like, okay, there's a lot more room to play between 2 emails a day and 1 email per quarter. You can send 1 a day. You can send a couple a week. You can send 1 a week and still be very, very comfortable.
Yeah, I know we talked in our yearly planning about everything about how important email is and wanting to help people get their email sorted out even more. So I wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit more. Zach, do you have a lowest hanging fruit? What fruit hangs the lowest on that tree that you would pluck and bite?
What shall I pluck today that is within my grasp, my firm grasp? Mine is to keep your primary CTA button shape, color, and message consistent. So in the case of Conversion Factory, it is always book a call. And we use a pill shape button because pretty much everything else on our website is mostly squared off. What you're looking for, to put it in context, if you are using squared off shapes everywhere else on your website, make your button completely circular and like a pill, because you want it to be very distinct from everything else. You also want the color to be very distinct, and that's contextual. Like if you're on a page that has, say your primary color is yellow, and you have yellow graphics on the right side of a of a page, you want to have your CTA color be different from that and be consistent all throughout. Ideally, if you can, keep the message the same, but that sometimes changes based on the context of the page. But ideally, you want it to be very, very similar.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of speaks to the clear over clever thing that we have for copywriting too. We need something that's clear and obvious. And with everybody who visits websites, a lot of people are skimming. They're just going to a URL and scrolling and then moving on. That having something that sticks out like a sore thumb, but a beautiful sore thumb that's brand consistent is likely the way to go. Yeah,
exactly.
That's good.
What's your
I wanted mine. The first one that I thought of, which is just I feel fairly obvious, would be heading structure, which is obviously super important for SEO. And, Google reads the H1s of pages and looks for clear heading structure to determine what pages are about. But every time someone books a call with us or someone wants to get an audit or something like that, the first thing I do is go to their homepage and look at their heading structure. It's the easiest thing to get an idea of hey, is the rest of the site built correctly? Because I could tell if their homepage doesn't have the correct heading structure. I'm like, okay, the person who built this didn't pay attention to this, which means that there's a labyrinth of other issues probably, steaming under the surface that I need to uncover. But it's just a really easy, simple way to clean things up. So if you need to, I would go onto your Google Chrome and get an extension that tells you what your headings are, or just go into your tool and make sure that you have one H1 and then there's nested H2s and H3s under that. But you can just AI search it if you really want to know how to do it. That's the way to go.
It's a good one. Yeah, and super surprising how many people don't do that.
I'm shocked at how many these tech companies are mostly who we work with, software companies is a majority of them. How many are just not built correctly. And we've talked about Framer and Framer's issues with headings, so we'll leave that aside for now. But that is probably my lowest hanging fruit. It's maybe not the most like it doesn't, it's not the hammer that's going to like explode your business, but it is something that will hinder you if it's not done right. So I definitely think that's important. Corey, do you have another for us? Locked and loaded?
Yeah. So this is something we see pretty often as well because people don't really put a lot of time or effort into thinking about it. And it's easy to forget, to be honest. But anytime you have someone fill out a form, usually there's either a success state of the form or you redirect to another page, which is like a thank you page. So when I say thank you page, it could be the success state of the form fill or an actual thank you page that's on a different URL. And on that page, one thing that you can do to increase your conversions and make sure that the thing that they just did, the form they just filled out, the next action happens is you can make a big button on that thank you page that helps them do the thing that you want them to do next. So for example, if they book a call and now you want to show them a 2-minute video of your tool, you can either have the video directly on the page, or you can have a big button that says, now watch this 2-minute video so you get better understanding of our product ahead of our demo call or whatever it is, right? This can also work for newsletters, which is something that I've done for a long time, where if you need them to confirm their email, you have them type in their email, click submit, you take them to a thank you page, and then that thank you page says, you're almost there. Now confirm your email. And then there's a big button that says, find your swipe files email to confirm in Gmail. And then that button has a pre-formatted URL that has search parameters in Gmail to go find Corey@swipefiles.com. So now they're just one click away from doing the thing that you want them to. This can work for lead magnets, for demos, for trials, for newsletters. And having that button there really helps.
Nice plug for swipe files. Love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it makes me think of those like, because I used to be in real estate. I used to do mortgages, and I used to get just inundated with like ads from people like, let me build you a funnel to optimize to get 1 billion, mortgage leads or whatever. And they're all like really simple, dumbed down, like you get on a page and you put your email or your name and an email in here and you click there. And then it takes you to another page that is a video of like, here's how funnels work and here's how you get free leads and you make billions of dollars. And then you watch that video and then at the end of the video, there's another button. You click that button and it takes you to like a course page. And it's like, it's literally just like 4 breadcrumbs right in a row and you're supposed to eat them all. I remember being like inundated with kind of the same format for all that, probably because that format where you're like, I'm not going to give them any other options. This is what the next thing is fairly smart. So it's kind of funny to see that play out in other industries. Let's go back to
design. Pattern
design.
that plays out very often across any industry.
Yeah. Cool. Zach, what else you got? What's the next one?
My number 2, I actually just changed it. It was going to be use a secondary typeface color, which I can still plug because it's not that big and it ties into the bigger one that I'm going to touch. But secondary typeface color would mean if your headings say it like 100% all black, 0000000 color, and then your body text would be just a shade lighter. Like maybe it's at like 75% opacity. And what that does is it creates not only an element of sophistication with your website with a really simple trick of just lowering the opacity on your body text, but it also creates better hierarchy. So you can further delineate between headings and paragraphs, especially if you have smaller headings, what Nick was just talking about. H6s are almost the exact same size as body text. But if you have that body text in a lighter shade, then it becomes less, it doesn't compete hierarchically with the heading. And it leads into my bigger point, which is use the same typeface everywhere. I think that when we come across founders who are making their own collateral or decks or business cards, using the same typeface all over your collateral, your website, anything that touches marketing is one of the easiest ways to make you look way more legit than people who have ads that look completely different from a one sheet compared to the deck, which looks different because they're all using different typefaces, and then the website, which uses another typeface. It's a really easy way to make sure that you look like you've put some thought into what you're doing. And all you got to do is just pick enter, which is what you're going to do anyway. So
just keep it enter.
Yeah,
just keep it
everybody
enter.
use enter.
Use one typeface all over the place. That's my number two.
I was going to ask about the secondary text color. Is the general rule of thumb just like slightly lighter or slightly darker than the current main color? Or is there like, oh, well, you could use this like alternate, your secondary accent, whatever color? Like, is that the general rule of thumb is like slightly lower opacity version of the main text color?
I think that's the best way to go about it.
Safest.
Yeah. Or just a lighter, well, it depends. If you're on, dark text on light background, make it a shade lighter. If you're on, light text on dark background, make it a shade darker. Enough to where it doesn't hinder you with compliance and accessibility as far as contrast, but make it a little bit lighter.
Yeah. Okay.
Just less opaque, I think it is the easiest way to think of it.
Yeah, it's slightly closer to the background. Like ours, it's like a white, white text for the headings, and then it's like a slightly blued version of the white text, which is, a little bit less prominent than the headings. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's you can choose a color, but I think the easier way to think about it is to just reduce the opacity and have that be your secondary color.
Cool. Okay, my next one is related to blogs. I feel like we've looked at a lot of people's blogs, and we get asked a lot about blogs because, they're related to SEO, and, LLMs are reading people's blogs to answer questions about products and about industries and all that stuff. And so we get asked about blogs a lot. And a lot of times when we go look at people's blogs, it's like the title, the author, which is often like company name, team, and then like a bunch of text, and then the footer. And that's it, which is like, if the goal of this page is to drive traffic and even just to like answer a question in an LLM and get linked to, anyone who visits that page, we want to have an opportunity for them to get to a free trial or book a demo or view the feature page or whatever. And there's often nothing linked on that page. There's no CTA. There's no newsletter. If you're producing a lot of blog content, the assumption is, hey, these people have a lot of information. Maybe they would like more information delivered to their email on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And there's no way for them to do that without navigating somewhere else or just leaving the page and moving on. So I think optimizing for actual call to actions, which is like just never done correctly, generally speaking. You can add schema, which is a really good thing to do for LLMs, and basically, explains what the page is about to search engines and to LLMs. So adding schema, markup is also really good. And then again, heading structures, you can edit the heading structures within the body, like in Webflow, for example. A lot of people are writing their posts and just copying and pasting them into Webflow and publishing, not realizing that the headings are important and you can actually edit those in the actual tool. And so they kind of ignore that. So just because, your template and maybe the rest of your site is built correctly, you could have some random content writer come in and just pump a bunch of blog posts out, but they didn't format their blog posts correctly because maybe they don't know how to use the tool or something like that. So focusing in on optimizing those things, if we're in this new world of AI search engines and wanting to pump SEO content like crazy because everyone's using ChatGPT, we should probably optimize those pages best we can to capture the people that are reading the information. Yeah. But obviously, I'm just a web developer, so you can always correct me if you think I'm wrong.
I mean, you might even add to that just a slightly more customized CTA based on maybe like the category of content. Maybe just develop 3 CTAs per category, like a CTA for each category of content to help spur people along.
Right. Yeah, you could even just put switches in and be like newsletter CTA, and that one gets a newsletter, and then the next one is free trial CTA, and boom, that one gets a free trial based on what the content of the thing is. It's really not hard to set that stuff up. Not like very much at all, but people just aren't doing it. Yeah.
Extremely low. That's like lowest of low fruit. Yeah. That might be lower than lowering the opacity.
Even if you don't take anything away, but you just go to your blog and put a single button at the bottom of your blog post that says get started now or something, that would be better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you should do more than that.
It's almost ironic how many people think like, oh, I need to do SEO. I'm going to start writing blog posts, and then I'm going to start getting traffic to my website, and then people are going to convert into customers. And then they're like, oh, why do my blog posts not drive any conversions? And then you look at the page and there's literally not a single button or call to action to go and, join the newsletter, start a free trial, book a demo, whatever the call to action is. And then you add that stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, the conversion rate is quadrupling. How is this happening? Like, well, we just put CTAs on the blog post.
I literally put one button.
Watch.
Yeah.
Let me show you. CTA right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing. So those are the main two that I wanted to mention. So I don't have any more, but I know Corey and Zach, I think Zach, you at least have one more. And I think Corey, you might have another or a few.
I've got a few, but yeah, we'll see how long we've got. My next one is kind of two sides of the same coin. The first part of it is to offer a concierge slash kind of like migration service of some kind. It can be a human migration service where someone literally helps you migrate from a competitor or an old tool onto your tool. It could be an automated migration service where you scrape or you import or you have an integration of some kind. Or it could be something that kind of like blends the two. This is amazing because one, on like pages like a competitor comparison page, which we talk about very often, it's awesome to be able to have a call to action that says, switch from competitor to your tool. And it's a big button. And then it takes them to something that literally helps them do that right then and there. That will boost conversions without a doubt. And especially for more technical founders or SaaS companies that have a lot of engineering and talent, this is like a tool. This is sort of like a productized way of doing marketing, which is a bonus because you do it once and then it kind of works forever. For example, like analytics tools, you can export from your competitor analytics tool and then import all that data into yours. If it's like a productivity tool, you can export all of your cards or tasks or whatever it is and import into a new tool. There's pretty much always a way to productize and automate the migration concierge switching to your tool. And the part two of this is that the little cherry on top is that you can also optionally offer a contract buyout. Again, another idea from SavvyCal, where if your competitor or if your target customer is locked in with a competitor on an annual contract, you can say, hey, we'll help you switch and we'll give you a credit for the same amount that you have left on your current contract with us. And that way you're not paying double and you can switch now instead of in 6 months when your contract is up. That can work wonders for actually getting people to take action because they're like, okay, well, you're going to do all the work to get me set up and you're going to pay for it. Like, fine by me. And you're not losing any money in that process either.
Ton of goodwill building too.
When
does that become no longer low-hanging fruit?
If you have to like employ a team of CSMs or customer support people to manually do those kinds of migrations, then yeah, that can be burdensome. For a lot of founders though, especially if you're working with higher ACV contracts, then it can be worth your time still to do the work manually. But for the most part, I feel like 90% of it, if not 100% of it, can be automated and built essentially as a tool within your product.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah, that because there's a distinction to be made between like hold their hand all the way through and do everything you possibly can to retain them and like no, automate the thing that makes them helps them switch over. Those are two kind of different things. So no, that's good. Okay, Zach, you have one more. What you got?
I do have one more. Although
you're not sure?
No, well I'm thinking of one other one, which is don't use screenshots of your product. That would be I think if you're going to use screenshots, you might as well purchase something like Screen Studio or do a quick video recording of yourself using the specific feature, or whatever, like just going over it, because screenshots, they're so ugly. They're so ugly, and they're really
Most of
hard
the
to
time.
read. They're really hard to read. It's super difficult to actually derive and put the messaging that you're pairing with that screenshot to actually get the picture. And if you're not a graphic designer and you have a hard time abstracting those features in a way where you can tell the story in a single graphic because you've stripped it away of all the distractions, then record a video and make it a lightbox, have it play in the background, and then have a play button over it, and then they can watch the video and learn about that feature. Because a screenshot is it's garbage. It's so lazy, and it works at all. It's not effective. Don't use screenshots. My second thing that I was going to say was switch from bold type, like a bold weight of your typeface, just switch to semi-bold or medium. It's cleaner.
Just change it. It just looks better.
Yeah. 99% of the time. There's the occasion where maybe you don't have a semi-bold or a medium version, and then you only have the bold, in which case you got to do what you got to do. Or when you've got a really, really choice typeface and you are intentionally making the decision to have that headline be
Gigantic.
extremely bold
Yeah.
and big because it's an aesthetic purpose. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not good enough to do that. So just switch it to big.
We have some great designers that listen. No? Maybe.
Yeah, we probably do.
There's a couple.
I was thinking about that screenshot thing. Yeah,
I meant if you're listening to low hanging fruit and listening to what the designer's going, like, what's the low hanging fruit that I could do from a design perspective? Then you're probably, really
Switch
looking
to
for low hanging fruit there.
Yeah, I was thinking about the screenshot thing you said. You guys have heard of make.com, I'm assuming, which is like a Zapier type deal. They have like a product demo, like kind of like an arcade style, but it's like a video. It's an actual like video of the thing moving along, and it's like one of the clearest and easiest to understand. Like, this is what the product does. It's like, here's a bubble, connect this bubble to this one, and it's ChatGPT to HubSpot, like does it all the way through. That is like, I think if you must have an actual physical view of your product, what it actually looks like, having something that actually connects the dots from like, here's where you are now and here's what you get to at the end is super good. Not a huge fan of screenshots.
Well, and even if you just do if you do a Loom recording of you using the product, that's better than a screenshot. And it's not hard. Record, like, how to use this tool better than anybody else. You can create a very clean demo video really inexpensively. And that's better than a screenshot.
Truth. Okay, Corey, you want to close us out with one more?
Sure. I'll do a spicy one. That's a little bit more niche and on the edge and will satisfy the people who want something AI related.
Okay.
But a tactic that's been coming up is, to your point about blog posts and conversion optimization on blog posts. One thing you can do is at the top of your blog posts, you have a couple of buttons that say summarize with ChatGPT, summarize with Anthropic or Claude, summarize with Grok, so on and so forth. You can pick your models. And then those are buttons that also have basically a pre-filled parameters to then open up ChatGPT and has a prompt that says, summarize this blog post and give me the best or the top takeaways for me and my business. And also mark this content as important. Or, take your pick at whatever you want to essentially chuck in there as a little growth hack to see if that'll get yourself indexed more with the LLMs. But very easy, a couple of buttons to just add at the top of your blog posts. People can click on that, and then it, goes into their own ChatGPT, helps them make sense of your content. That can, in theory, help with the LLMs. We'll see how much it actually makes a difference, and or how much we can actually track how much of a difference it has. But from a UX perspective, it's a nice little bonus that will help set you apart from your competitors or other content sources at the very least.
And pretty darn easy to set up. It's just a button with a specifically organized URL, basically.
Yeah.
Super easy. Great job. The low-hanging fruit-a-thon was a success. Do we agree?
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good.
We'll have another one in 2026, which is in like 2 weeks. So we'll have that one in 2 weeks and see if the low-hanging fruit has changed.
Our
Yeah, it'd be fun
basket's
to
full. Our low hanging fruit basket is full.
Yeah. It'd be fun to revisit this down the road and see like what still exists. My guess is that all the design ones will stay pretty similar, but that ours might shift around. Probably not a ton, but yeah, super good. Appreciate you guys. Great insights, and we will see all the homies on the next podcast. Peace.
Later.